Hey everybody, GravyTrain here with another episode of GravyTraining. This time I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Creepy. How's it going, man?
Man, I'm about to order a triple white chocolate mocha, and I'm going to be humming, baby, humming.
I'm jealous. I haven't had one of those in a long time.
Oh man, it's going to be delicious. I make zero money plugging Starbucks like this. Hello, ma'am. Can I please have a venti white chocolate mocha
All
hot with an
right.
extra shot of espresso?
So while Creepy orders his coffee fix. This is what we're going to be doing today. So Creepy and I have been talking about this idea for a while, and we're going to be talking about the meta. You can see here the meta tracker. My meta tracker is up on my screen here. The link to this is in every single video that I have that's a dungeon boss video, so you can find that in the description. It'll be in this description, or it's definitely in all the hero spotlights for sure. Um, so yeah, we're gonna talk through about a little bit about each hero. We're gonna talk about ways, teams that you can build with the hero, strengths and advantages of the hero, and then ways to kind of counter that hero. So I will be kind of switching back and forth in game, kind of pulling up each hero as we need to. And am I getting echo from you, Creepy? I am. Damn it.
I'm good. I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, but I'm hearing me through your side.
All right, here. Let me. How is that?
Let's test. I'm not hearing myself. That's better.
Okay. I had my volume too loud.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, let's get started. So the way that things are broken down here, just for reference to anybody that hasn't seen the spreadsheet before, is that um, if we look at the actual main tab, there's a legend here that explains kind of what everything about the heroes are. So there's an overall score, which is how they're grouped. SS is the best of the best heroes, and they can pretty much carry a team. S heroes are strong. They can be added to most any team, and they will shine and carry their weight. A heroes are just all around good heroes, but not outstanding. B heroes are situationally good. C heroes are average. D heroes are, well, basically by the time you're down to C, they're heroes you're probably never going to use. D and F, well, they're just bad heroes in general. I don't think you even have any Fs. I think they're all just D. But, so that's kind of the breakdown. And then I have here in the spreadsheet a breakdown based on, like, okay, what their damage is like, how tough are they, how their utility is, how their synergy is. So this is all subjective. This has been maintained by me for over a year now. But Creepy has reviewed it and kind of given his input, and we'll talk through it and everything like that as well. But this is based on the current meta. So switching back then, we're going to be talking in this video about the SS heroes primarily. These are the heroes you're going to encounter all the time.
Every other fight.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go ahead and start at the top. Let's talk about Alrakis. So Alrakis, I guess you're not going to see Alrakis quite as much as you're going to see some of the other heroes here. I mean, you kind of agree with that. I mean, most of what we're going to see is probably going to be Serenity, Dagon, Sybil, Archon, and Arya.
Right. And I'll probably say this in this series of videos. You're probably going to hear me say this more than once, so might as well get used to it now. This is the speed meta.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go, man. Someone like Alrakis, while they have a ton of utility, they also are not fast enough to be really effective until either they're dead or you build them non-optimally. A high-speed team with damage output as good as is going to overrun Alrakis.
Yeah, in general, I think lately there's been some exceptions to that. The team that I was running this past weekend, for example, didn't have a single fast hero on it, but I was still tearing like melting faces. So I think some of it you either have to be able to survive that initial burst of damage from your opponent, and that will allow your non-fast heroes to be able to do their thing, or you have to be able to like resurrect them over and over, that kind of thing. So
so that being said, one thing I really like about this meta tracker is it's not just one metric and we just kind of give our opinion. There's several metrics to these characters, so we see damage, we see toughness, we see utility. As far as damage output, Alrakis is a top 3 damage output machine. He doesn't even have to be. He's so good at killing you. He doesn't have to be alive to do it.
Exactly.
And he is absolutely a terror.
Just for reference, since we're talking about Arrakis, I'm going to transition over to Dungeon Boss, and I'm going to pull up Arrakis's hero card. Whoops, wrong button. So that people can get an idea about what Arrakis can do. Legendary. Or Arrakis. I have to go past the heroes and epics. I hate the way they sort these heroes. So, yeah, I mean, like, looking at stats, this is my Arrakis. No epic, running 18,000 attack. No defense. Like, I don't even care if he dies. But,
exactly.
I mean, these abilities, you have a chance to make a revenge attack and put Corrupted from Within, which amplifies your damage. You've got, this is the ability that Creepy was talking about. At the end of the allied round, this hero makes a ranged Chaos attack. Chaos is just beefcake. Attack on all enemies. Enemies who have the Doom debuff take 50% more damage, and this continues after the hero's death as long as their corpse is still there on the battlefield. So that's what he's talking about with this, about this hero. Even after death, he's still doing damage as long as the battle's going on. And chaos damage, he does raw chaos damage. Most other heroes do whatever type of damage they do, and then add chaos to it. His basic attacks, all of his attacks are chaos damage. So they bypass shields, they bypass damage resistance, they bypass armor. They don't bypass all of the defense, but they bypass any defense from armor. And you're getting a little bit of echo there, Creepy.
There we go.
Yeah. So, I mean, these attacks are really powerful. That's why he can do so much damage. And then you start adding tainted runes, and it's just going up and up from there. For example, I've got two tainted, a dragon, a foresight, and an evasion. So, yeah, I mean, he's doing an additional 30, and then he does an additional, like, 20. Something like that. I forget, takes less damage from AoE. 15%. Doesn't he give a boost? Gas damage? Maybe he doesn't.
I don't think he gives a boost to it.
Okay, but he gets additional chaos reduction, that's what it is. So yeah, he's doing 30% additional damage, like, straight off the top. So that's the really nice thing. And his abilities are kind of gross, too. I just did a video on him, though, so you probably want to just check that out if you plan on using him. But now we'll back to the spreadsheet. So, or we will be... Oh, as soon as I get the right thing set up. There we go. Okay. Oh, I'm not used to doing scene transitions in OBS. All right. Anywho, back to that. So that's part of why Arrakis is just so ridiculously bonkers.
Absolutely.
So what teams are you seeing him in the most, Creepy?
What team am I seeing him with the most?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the question. So you're definitely going to see him paired with Sybil. A ton of Sybil teams, because Sybil gets a bonus to chaos damage if they're paired with Alrakis. So it makes no sense to not pair Sybil, because Sybil is already a phenomenal damage dealer. So you're going to see a lot of Sybil with Alrakis, and now, of course, you're going to see Nivius with Alrakis. You're going to see Inferno. You're going to see Agnon with Arrakis. A lot of people watch Gravy stream, and you bet your butt there's going to be a lot of people busting out enabled Agnon, doing exactly what you've seen done last week.
Oh, that was just such a fun team, and it was so versatile. Like you could use, I was using Alrakis, Nivius, Agnon, and then literally the fourth slot could have been one of 20 different heroes. It just really had to be survivable. So you could throw Valken in there. You could throw. I was using Lily at some points. I was using Selwyn. I mean, when's the last time you've used Selwyn? I was using Astrid. I was using like all sorts of different heroes in that slot. Furno, great in that slot. So yeah, and definitely just there's some really good combos and teams of that. I've also seen them on less dragon focused teams. Like I've seen people throw them in with Sybil, Serenity, and like Dagon, something like that. Like he's kind of just bats cleanup. Where if they don't finish him off, if the other heroes don't finish you off, then Nivius or Alrakis will.
Right. I've seen there's, especially when we start seeing the turn of 6-star Nivius, and once again, I kind of said it last week. Once we see the turn of 6-star Nivius, and we kind of see how the time teaches us what the optimal build for him is, we could really see a lot of these guys. Because if you don't destroy them really fast, which lends to you having to bring a blitz team, there's ways to build a defense around a blitz team and have to fight you for another round.
Yep.
So,
well, and that's what this team that I was using was all about too. I mean, Nivius. Right. It didn't matter if the very first round, if Nivius and Alrakis died, because as long as Agnon stayed alive, Nivius comes back. Then I immediately res Alrakis, and it's battle over at that point. Especially because I'm stoning all of your heroes. So.
Exactly.
And that's the other thing about the chaos damage too, is that it bypasses damage resistance. Well, the stoned effect gives like 90 or 95% damage resistance. So even though you're not having like the ability that the Gorgons get, even though it doesn't work right now, even though you don't get that, you're still able to do massive damage to those heroes. And then they're not dodging, and they're not doing damage to you. So it's like the ultimate screw you crowd control.
Amen.
So what do you use then to counter Alrakis? We'll get your thoughts first.
Okay, so it depends. But generally speaking, especially now, I love bringing Sybil to counter Arrakis, and the reason why is most teams are built with a lot of fourth stats now, and no one, maybe at the very beginning you can get away with this, but almost everyone at the past level 70, they're going to have an evasion on him. They're going to have some kind of rune on him. Sybil takes that away while doing a great damage and adding one of the game's best buffs on your team. So you're going to see Sybil. As soon as, and I'm sure this will come up on our next hero, but as soon as Dagon's Epic gets released to everyone, Sybil and Dagon, just those two on a team, can insta-kill Dragon Team. Because they're going to, well, assuming Agnon's not on. But Sybil's going to take the Dragon Scales, he's going to take those evasions, they're going to buff the team. Dagon does a basic attack with an epic, with a shield piercing rune, and well, that's the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been hit by that combination quite a bit. I mean, Agnon would be the only saving grace there is if I can survive with Agnon, but that's not even a guarantee. Somebody gets a Dagon with an epic and has like 2 or 3 taint runes, I'm done. Like they'll just tear right through Agnon. So exactly, and so that the other counter that you're going to see for your Arrakis is a big deal. Is they even took time to tell us that as long as his corpse is on the field, right?
So other counters, and I'm a big proponent of this, Archon, and then in UW, the too festive idea was actually Gravy's idea over a year ago because he wanted to doom bolt Emily's with Aegis Shield. I took that same principle, added foresights to him, so he could use Doom Bolt. So if you have that sort of Arrakis, Doom Bolt can bury Arrakis. Archon can bury Arrakis. But once again, these Arrakises are tricky. And so you want to make sure all these buffs are gone. These dragon scales are gone. Because the last thing you want to do is detonate your Archon
and he takes no damage. Yeah. Well, ideally, if Nivius is dead, like say you don't have Serenity with you, you do your first round attack, you survive to the second round. You want to make sure that those corpses are gone. Once there's the corpse there, he doesn't have the immunity to the fire, so his corpse or his S3 goes right through and just eliminates the corpse.
Exactly.
Now, I wonder, and I haven't tried this, I wonder what, if you have Solaris with you, if she puts a feather on Nivius, or on Arrakis, that means his corpse won't get burned.
That's true. Ooh, how many festives is that?
I don't know offhand. I'd have to take a look, but it's like 2 or 3. But I mean, it's friggin' Solaris, so does it matter? You could put 5 festives on Solaris for all that it matters.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking too. So like, you could literally bust out a Dragons, Agnon, Solaris team, and just make sure that you have enough festives or enabled Agnon or what have you. Just as long as he winds up in stone form, you're golden.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and that's the idea of that team, is that Agnon is there to keep you use the epic, so that because when he does the epic attack, not only does he stone up to 3 heroes, but he goes back into granite form immediately. Unless you're facing off against Serenity, who blocks everything known to man. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty badass. And that's actually an issue that I've run into, though, is that if Serenity blocks the stone form, that technically should mean that it blocks the buff. Thus, the buff never gets added to the hero. Thus, it should not purge all the other buffs. Because my strategy with Agnon would be to, and it was, and I tried it, but the game is all bugged out in the way that it works, is you use Agnon, who goes into stone form, unless Serenity prevents stone form, and then he's got an evasion rune. So he doesn't get stone form, but he's still got that survivability, meaning he will likely be able to actually get back into granite form later because he's not taking the hits. So, but unfortunately, of course, it's broken. The buff gets applied, and then instead of it blocking the buff, it gets purged by the null magic. So it's just, none of it works right. I've got to talk to the devs about it or report it as a bug, because it's definitely not working like it should. But yeah, and then don't forget, when you're talking about Arrakis then too, encountering Arrakis, Hopper, Ember can burn corpses. Technically, Phenol can burn corpses. Or at least if he's the killing blow. Leonidas can technically burn corpses if he gets the killing blow. So
right.
There are definitely ways to do
timing.
That. What's that?
That is expert timing. If you kill an Arrakis with a Leo and burn the corpse, your timing is impeccable.
Yeah, I mean, it's very uncommon that it's going to happen, but then again, you never know. Have you tried a friggin' taint runed out Leonidas? I haven't yet. I probably will tonight. I mean, just think about that. He burns corpses with. I mean, if you're amplifying that much damage, you get amplified light out there as well. Like with from Emily, or even Leo provides amplified light, so the light damage is multiplied.
I got one for you. Lumen burns corpses too.
Oh, that's right, he does. I forgot about that. I haven't really had a chance to use him because he's still 4-star for me.
Light, Lumen causes fear.
Right.
and then Leo.
Yep. So it looks like we've got some light teams to explore and to load up with taint runes.
Ooh, that makes me happy. I'm just thinking about like a Sybil, Leo, Lumen, uh, Solar.
Would have to be like
There's so many.
Solaris at that point, yeah. Or you throw your own friggin' Niveus out there. Or you put Niveus, not Alrakis, because Niveus is still going to give you that resing and then be able to make the golems, which those golems do damage. Those things
Yes,
seriously do damage. And those golems burn corpses. When they do that explosion, they burn corpses. So yeah, that's another good point. So let's add Niveus and Lumen. So that's pretty good for Alrakis. I don't want to just focus on that one hero the whole way through. We got a number more to get through. So let's move on to Dagon. I mean, I think Dagon is kind of simple. Like, there's not a lot of nuance to Dagon. He's kind of a hammer. And once they make his epic finally friggin' available, I mean, I think everybody's going to be... I don't even have his epic. I mean, I came back just after it stopped being available. So, yeah, I mean, he is just... He's a hammer. You just point him at stuff. He does so much damage. It's all AoE damage. He's fast, and he drains energy. That's the thing that annoys me the most, is just losing that 1 point of energy, and then you may as well be silenced. Like, it's worse than silence, because it can't be purged.
I completely agree. Dagon is absolutely nasty. He's got the impervious stat, so he can't be frozen, burned, diseased, unless you're Pontifex. Pontifex bypasses.
Pontifex does it. Yeah, Pontifex is a big counter to him.
Dagon. Right. But pretty much, yeah, there's not a lot you need to know about Dagon. There's two schools of thought. Both of them have their merit, I guess you would say, with Dagon. There's a school of thought that says 3 foresights attained in innovation. Very valid school of thought, because if you can't debuff Dagon by giving him off balance or making him diseased,
well, Ponty will still disease
really,
him even past foresights, though.
Yeah. But I'm in the school of thought of enabled, and the reason why is A, I'm going to hit your whole team. B, it's going to paralyze your whole team, so your evasion runes mean nothing. So yes, Sybil can take them away and buff me, but Dagon's going to punish you for having them.
Mm-hmm. And on top of that, is it Dagon that gives people extra damage against paralyzed targets? Or no, that's Yan. I'm thinking of Yan.
Right.
I was just reading somebody that had that like earlier today or yesterday. Yan Lee.
Yeah.
And actually doesn't. There was a couple of really common meta heroes that gave you bonuses if you were gave bonuses against paralyzed targets. I know Yan does it. Like, he'll follow up attacks by heroes that have shock or paralyze on them, which I don't know how you're going to get attacked by somebody with paralyze on you, but
right.
That's dungeon boss logic.
Yeah. Sometimes someone rolls good enough to get out of the paralysis, and
but then the buff goes away, though. The only thing I can think of is if like they have a damage shield on or something like that, and you hit them, and then you take damage, because if they're paralyzed, they can't act. They can't even do like revenge attacks. So I think it was just bad description writing on Dungeon Boss's part. Yeah. But
I agree. Another counter to Dagon, everybody, is Grondar.
Yes.
Grondar is going to help mitigate some of those strikes. And another big deal is he's not going to allow your team to get paralyzed or shocked, and he's going to prevent those Jin follow-ups. So Grondar is very good. Very, very good. for
Yeah. Well, I mean, pretty
energizing
much
that.
the team that you actually turned me on to, the Sybil, Serenity, Arya, and Ponti, just absolutely spanks Dagon teams.
Yes, it
Um,
does.
the Ponti is
Yes,
going to be
it does.
pushing through the disease no matter what, which cuts your attack power in half. Um, and then you're also going to get the damage reduction from Arya, and they almost always put Jin first or put Dagon first. And if they don't,
Right.
you're going to punish them because you're going to kill Dagon before they can act. Um, so yeah, I mean that team is really strong against that. And then Jin is going to give you, if you put Jin into that mix too, or Furno, they're going to give you either an attack debuff or damage resistance as well, and that damage resistance stacks up pretty well against Dagon. So
Completely agree. And that's the only time I'll even listen to someone argue the 3 foresight Dagon's better. But the thing is, that's still not enough. That's still not enough.
well, you
I've,
can get away with 3 foresights on Dagon if you have 2 enablers and you're using Rayla, because that's going to be a
yeah,
sick team. Rayla is going to make Dagon do attacks and everything as well. So
absolutely.
yeah, and Arya and Jin. I mean, oof, that's just gross. Or Lumen at this
So
point.
yeah, exactly. So that's pretty. And like Gravy said early on, Dagon. This is. I mean, you point them at what you want to die, and they'll die.
Yep.
Not a lot special to them. You're going to see them a lot with the teams mentioned here, and the counters we mentioned. They're very real, and they're very good counters. But you got to know how to build your team. And if be in a guild, be in an active PvP chat, reach out to Gravy or me. Because
Join the
again, it's always
Discord
there.
and ask questions about it there too. I mean, it's a great kind of public forum where you don't have to worry about people trying to troll you, or well, I guess Abe might troll somebody, but nobody's going to
Right,
believe him. He's not serious about it. But you join the
right.
Discord, ask questions there. It's a good place to just get solid answers for that, where you don't have to worry about being preyed upon by the toxic Avengers on the public Discord.
Yep.
So that's Dagon. So since we're on the line of Dagon, why don't we jump to Archon? Since Archon is a little bit more nuanced than Dagon, but not by much.
Right.
Does that sound good?
I like it.
So Archon, if you're not familiar, is if you haven't played the game before at all, then Archon is another legendary hero, a fire spirit warrior. Um, his first ability is an AoE attack that's treated as a single target attack, as 4 single target attacks, so it actually works with Serenity. His second ability is a single target attack that silences or purges buffs, are pretty gross. And then his third attack, he actually explodes. He dies. He sacrifices himself to explode with undodgeable shield piercing damage that is super high. And his epic, I've had his attack score over 29,000. I had to dial it back just a little bit to get some foresights on him, but I've had his attack score that high. Right now, I'm running around like 27.8 or something like that, like just shy of 28,000. So he's
I
pretty
think
much
that's
the
about right
highest I've
too.
ever seen in the game.
Yeah,
You're,
Archon's a special kind of nasty.
he is, um, and he's one of 2 heroes right now that make that trigger Astrid's passives. So you can use her with Archon, or you can use her with Zulk and Zulkad, and they will both make her fast and make all your warriors and fire heroes start with an Aegis shield, which may get bypassed or bumped, but it's something when it works. So yeah, Archon is another one of those just blunt instruments. He's out there to do lots of damage. You can use him a little more subtly, in that, Like there are cases where, well, one, he also, when he does his explosion, he burns corpses, so you can use it to get rid of Alrakis and Niveus corpses, or whatever else. It's also shield piercing, so it's a great finishing move.
Absolutely.
And but his other abilities have utility as well, so you can come in and purge buffs or stuff like that, and actually use him somewhat tactically. But he's pretty much a hammer. So teams you're going to see him on is pretty much everything you're going to see everything you're going to see Dagon on. You're going to see Archon on as well. With the addition of, you're going to see him with Zulk, Astrid, Malice. Who else you think you might see him on that aren't part of necessarily those other teams? And those are the most common that I can think of.
Those are the most common for sure. If it was a few months ago, I'd say you'd see Shade or Bot.
Shade or who?
Right now, you're not. The what?
Shade or who?
Well, I'm saying it would have been Shade a couple months ago, but nowadays you're really not going to see Shade.
I still see him, but I think it's probably old defenses that just haven't been updated.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, because Shade is a spirit. He gives them an energy, but that's about it. You will see a defense that I used for a couple of days last season. Archon's passive gives 25% more health and damage to warrior heroes.
Right.
So I had a defense a couple days last season where my defense was Dagon, enabled shield piercing, followed by Archon, followed by 3 Foresight Valken, followed by Jin.
Yep.
And generally speaking, that initial shot of damage from Dagon was so intense that I roasted people immediately.
Yep, and anything that they can absorb, they can't also then take Archon, and even if they do take the Archon punishment, then you've got all those foresights on Valken, so he's still going to be able to do Call to War, and then everybody's done, because both Dagon and Archon don't miss. So
yeah,
that's definitely valid.
It was an extremely tough defense. It wasn't Serenity, so if people didn't come in with a complete stall out like an Alrakis or Lilies and all sorts of other things, they generally speaking got destroyed very, very, very fast.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And God forbid they actually go ahead and do silence you. It's like, okay, you've got enablers on your hero, so it's almost worse. So then counters to Archon, I'm gonna put dragons in general. Dragons are immune to fire as long as Niveus is around. So, and right. Sphyrno is automatically immune. Is Alrakis automatically immune now? I can't remember.
No, Alrakis is not.
Okay,
but dragon scales.
If Niveus is there, he will be, but otherwise he's not.
Yeah, otherwise no.
So dragons definitely. Solaris is immune to fire. Who else? I mean, he doesn't do as good. Archon doesn't do very well against Lily or Agnon, at least not in the round 1. So I'll just put formed heroes. Jin is kind of good against him. I mean, you start cranking up the damage resistance and silence.
Right.
So I'll just put silence. If you can get Sybil going first, which on defense you're going to, Sybil can definitely hurt.
Archon's immune to silence.
What's that?
Archon's immune to silence.
That's right, yeah. But he can be, so we'll have to say instead of silence, it would be Dagon. Or anybody that does energy drain.
Assuming their Archon is slot 1, you can bring a Malice team, which I'm a huge fan of. But I think it was Rubicon got me with that because I energy drained everyone his Dagon Epic, and that was yesterday. Was that earlier today?
Hmm.
Was that earlier today that Rubicon got me, or was that yesterday?
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't pay attention to every single battle you have, so.
I think it was this morning. Because normally, generally speaking, I bring Malice a lot to those type of fights. And,
right.
Normally the energy drain works in my favor, but this time, his Dagon was epic and enabled, and all I did was put him to kill my whole team in one shot.
Yeah.
That was awful.
Indeed.
Arya.
So, okay.
Arya is a great counter because if you take him off balance,
right.
Even if he's on a team with Serenity, when round 2 rolls around and he does Cataclysm Conflagration, he's gonna miss.
Right. All right, so that's Archon. We've got 4 more heroes to kind of go through. So we got Serenity, Sybil, Jinli, and Arya. I might start moving Niveus. Well, Niveus is probably still just an S.
Right.
Zolk is still kind of an S. I think the rest of the S's are probably about right. So 4 more heroes here that we want to talk about. Now, granted, I just did a video about Serenity and a video about Sybil this weekend. So if you haven't already checked those out, check those videos out. That'll give you background. So I'm not going to go over all of the fine tuning of their abilities other than what we kind of talked through here. But and then Arya and Jinli are pretty well-known heroes. We can kind of talk about them together. So maybe we talk about Sybil and Serenity together, and we talk about our Jinli and Arya kind of together. How's that sound?
I'm with you.
Cool. So Serenity and Sybil, you're probably on almost every single defense. You're going to see at least one of them.
Absolutely.
Probably on most of the offenses, you're going to see at least one of them. Serenity is probably the single strongest, most overpowered hero in the game. Overpowered being kind of relative. I think there's a relatively minor fix that could be done to balance Serenity around the application of null magic at the start of the fight, but that's kind of a different thing. I think that would be the only thing that I would really change about Serenity. Sybil, initially I thought was very OP. I'm kind of mixed. The ability to remove all buffs, let's be honest, that's a little overpowered. I think the original intention was that it was supposed to remove one random buff. I think that's more appropriate. But you are sacrificing damage. Well, if Sybil didn't do ridiculous damage and remove all buffs, I think it would be different. But she does both. So still bordering on overpowered there. I think if they did the damage first and then remove the buffs after, it would be more fair. I think they remove the buffs first.
Well, so you brought up several good points. My thing with Sybil is I use evasion runes because at the top end you have to. You absolutely have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I hate losing, and instead of losing that was a really well thought out defense. I hate losing that lucky son of a, you know what I mean? That I don't like. So my biggest thing with Sybil is, like you said, she's got all those 4th stat runes, all that synergy that you packed into your team gets wiped out immediately, and it cannot miss.
And that's the frustrating thing. If it removed if there was a predictable order, it removes evasion first, and then it removes whatever. But it doesn't get rid of foresight, as far as I remember. I think foresight stays, but it doesn't get rid of aversion. But it does get rid of taunt. It gets rid of, which is a taunt and defense buff. It blows away guardian, which really is frustrating. Like you build your hero around having that Guardian rune, which is a massive, like 65% defense debuff or defense buff. And one attack is just blowing that defense buff away. I think there should be certain things that, because I mean, you invest in these runes, you craft these runes, you put them out there. Like, they should differentiate buffs that are applied by other heroes and buffs coming from runes. But that's just my thought. But anyways, carry on.
But yeah, so Sybil does all that damage, takes away all those foresights. But my biggest complaint about Sybil is whenever I talk about RNG, if me and you get into a Sybil fight, and your Sybil pulls Hive Mind onto your team, and my Sybil pulls Snow Day, there's a massive difference there. If your Sybil pulls Goblin Dance Party, I've had my Sybil pull and give my team several stacks of Hive Mind in a single fight.
Yeah.
And you don't want, so if your Sybil gives your team Poisonous Skin, whoop-de frickin' do.
Right.
But my Sybil pulls Goblin Dance Party and Hive Mind, and then my Balkan shoots at you.
Right.
It's not. I didn't outplay you. I got handed better game-ending buffs from my Sybil.
Yeah, I mean that would be a good point too. Is maybe they normalize the ability that she gives instead of just taking a buff. They just say, "Here, this is the same buff that everybody always gets from this."
Right.
Something along those lines might make more sense. Because you're right. I mean, that really is very RNG, and can really change the course of a fight that way.
So a perfect example. A perfect example is this: you come into a fight with a melee heavy team with Serenity. You go against a Sybil. Their Sybil puts freezing skin on their entire team, and now what?
Right.
Can you kill people? Absolutely. But now you're in this awkward situation of making different choices. Now I'm all for thinking. I'm all for thinking and problem solving in PvP.
But it needs to be strategy, not luck.
Exactly. I do not. I don't go into PvP rolling dice. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Sybil, as far as teams, Sybil is compatible. Well, she's an SS for a reason. Sybil is compatible with everyone, and immediately, because of the buffs she gives, makes everyone on your team better immediately.
Yep.
So Sybil is absolutely an absolutely must-have hero.
Now I have had teams that advocate for Sybil that I've pulled Sybil off and replaced because she doesn't quite fit in with the flow of the team. So I think there are definitely going to be some cases where it's not as synergistic, where she just doesn't bring enough value. Like, you may not be worried about clearing buffs if you're going to kill everything immediately anyways,
exactly.
like that kind of thing. So, but in general, yeah, I mean, absolutely, she's game-changing on any team. And I do like the fact, going back to my other team idea that I've been running this weekend, that she's a reptile. And she uses one of every single color of rune too, which obviously nobody else has that. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, that's just really interesting in terms of rune possibilities. So yeah, I mean, absolutely very good. And then Serenity.
Another fun fact about
Yep.
is her auto attack is always a double shot. So
Right.
It's like 100% warrior rune. The other thing is, regardless of what element she's attacking,
She gets advantage.
Roll to their counter element.
Yeah, she gets elemental advantage against every person she attacks.
So if she attacks water, she's shooting that target as a nature hero.
So she's going to crit a lot more often. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's very true as well. Now, Serenity, on the other hand, Serenity is they took every wonky, crazy, overriding ability, and they cram them all onto Serenity. Like bypassing immunities and blocking buffs and blocking buffs that bypasses immunities and all this, like the giving everybody that does a single target melee attack, a single target melee physical attack haste every single turn, so you can build entire teams around taking 2 actions every single turn.
Yep.
There's just so much that she does that is just over the top. And if they had spread that across 2 heroes, I think it would have been fine. But I think they put too much on Serenity that it's just... I mean, it's a fun hero to use, and I think that's why they've kind of gotten away with it, but it's not a realistic hero to use. Like, it's... You can make Serenity wipe teams by yourself. I mean, my Serenity's got like 18,000 attack with 2 taint runes on her. Like, she can just literally wipe teams herself.
Right.
And I mean, all the utility, all the everything that she brings is just kind of nuts. But you're going to see her, I mean, pretty much we've already listed the teams above that you're going to see Serenity on, but you'll see Serenity on any team, really. Even I've even seen her used on entirely ranged teams just for the null magic.
Just for the damage reduction.
Right.
Nice Lily Bangs, nice Alrakis, nice Pontifex.
Right.
You know, her ability to block magic damage is
and the way that it's executed too is it's ridiculous. Like the mechanics have gotten so convoluted with all this new crap that they've added that I don't think they understand how everything actually works. Well, clearly they don't, because they haven't coded it to actually work the way that they advertise. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem with Serenity. But all defensive, she can be pretty tough to kill. She's easier to kill than a lot of other heroes might be, because she's not made to be tough, but you can make her fairly tough. But yeah, you can also make her ridiculously attack heavy too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she just brings tons and tons of utility, and yeah, I mean, definitely a powerful hero though. You're going to see her used all over. How do you counter Serenity? Probably with Serenity.
Yeah, first rule of Serenity Fight Club, bring your own Serenity.
Right.
That's exactly right.
I mean, lots of foresight runes.
Yeah. And then another thing, the Serenity fight, Aria is dang near mandatory. Dang near mandatory.
Yeah.
If you see Serenity, you're most likely gonna need to bring a Serenity in an Aria. But I'll real quick. I'm gonna step up on the soapbox, and I'm gonna step right off. But I'll make no bones about it. I hate Serenity as she is. I love some of her abilities, and I don't want anyone to think that I think she's an awful hero and blah blah. That's all it is about. Serenity is all powerful. She can do everything. She has several legendary heroes wrapped up into one, and needs to be toned way down.
I don't want to panic anybody, because everybody's afraid of nerf and this and that, and I think that's short-sighted. But I don't think Serenity needs a massive nerf. I think she just needs tuned, like when we did the Jin nerf, air quotes nerf, that made it so that his silence didn't pierce immunities anymore. That was a very minor change that still, to this day, Jin Li's a top SS hero a year later after that nerf. And it's still a completely viable top tier hero, but it's like Jin is not breaking the game anymore. Now Serenity is breaking the game.
First off, I would do on Serenity, because I'm like you. I don't want I don't want Serenity benched. That's not what
Right.
I'm wanting. I'm not advocating for
No,
taking
just
away everything that
tweak
makes her
just
great.
that little bit, make it fair so that you're not eliminating the utility of 80% of the other heroes in the game.
Right. So I want her to stop blocking, completely blocking all retaliation. So she is only supposed to stop retaliation from melee physical attacks. That's it.
Right.
As it stands, she won't allow Jin to follow a Dagon. She won't. Some range follow-ups because she blocks command stacks, and that's the other tweak I'd make. There's only 2 tweaks I'd make to her. Allow range follow-ups and retaliations to happen. Serenity stops that. The second thing I would change is that you go into every battle with all of your runes, all of your passives. So you're going to have Shroud, you're going to have Dragon Scales, you're going to have Command Aura stacks.
Or your
But
form.
They do have a stack of no magic on it, so the next applied buff gets blocked.
Yeah, my thought was either do something like that, or make it so that the very first round she doesn't apply it, or she applies it at the end of each round instead of at the beginning, or something like that. Your idea, I actually like better. Because then they're still gonna, like, when you're still gonna block, like, say, I'm thinking Abigail. Abigail does her S1. You're not going to give the entire team that attack buff because null magic is going to block it. But they're still going to have their taunt rune, the things that you have invested into your heroes that they should be having already active when they go into the battle are suddenly getting blocked. Like, that doesn't make sense. So I agree. I think that's a good fix.
And once again, we kind of touched on this on the Sybil thing. I hate not being able to plan something. And so whenever Serenity comes in, and sometimes she blocks this, sometimes she blocks that. But no one knows the algorithm. And if I mean you have both, ask them point blank, today in the 7th, explain this to us. It can't be done. It literally can't be done. No one can explain how it works. So I say, well, that's true. Let's just make a small tweak so we know, like you said, the Abigail thing is a perfect example. So yeah, I'm going to go in that fight with my evasions. I'm going to have my taunts. I'm going to have my guardians. I'm going to have my shrouds. I'm going to have my dragon scales. But I know that Abigail is not going to give me my attack buff.
Right.
Because that's the first applied buff, and I have 1 stack of magic.
I also think potentially that null magic should not stack. Well, should not stack at all, really. Because when you think about it, I posted in guild chat where my furnace literally had 415 stacks of null magic. I mean, you should eventually be, especially because you accumulate them every round, they should expire every round and then you accumulate a new one.
Right.
Because then, I mean, you shouldn't be completely denied from having any buffs by one character for the rest of the game, where it's not even, like, if it had to be applied on a hit, like you had to successfully land an attack, that's fine. But the passive at the end of each turn, you just automatically get another one. To me, that's over the top to begin with. Because it's not like every round you get another foresight stack from Craw. So it's supposed to be kind of a point counterpoint there. They're not equivalent. That's so much more powerful. But if you had, the only ones that maybe should allow you to increase your number of stacks would be from an actual attack that lands.
Right. I completely agree. So, like I said, I like Serenity. I like some of the stuff she brings, but I don't like it that she made.
It's the Superman complex.
She's absolutely Superman. And right now, as some changes get made that are coming.
Oh, careful there. I know you'll be careful, but careful.
Yeah. But Grondar's value is going to go back up because there's going to be value in stopping range retaliation.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. So now I need to make choices. I gotta, like you said the other day on your stream, I've gotta, okay, I'm fighting this, so I need to bring this. Oh, well, they got that. Well, I gotta bring this too. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So, and that's what Serenity is.
Right. I mean, there's no drawbacks to taking Serenity, Dagon, Archon, and Sybil into battle, because they have absolutely everything between them that you need. Done.
Right.
And there's no weakness, there's no drawback, you're not having to sacrifice anything. It's just, I have the best runes because I've been playing longer than you have, and that's it. And it really only benefits the top level of players, of which you and I are members. But it seems like we're the only ones trying to advocate for the people that don't have all those crazy runes. Like, I don't understand why people that don't have the same rosters as people like us, or plenty of other people that I'm not going to call out specifically, but I don't understand why these people get behind this idea that it's hurting them. It's making their game harder. And even if they get into a top guild, they're still going to be behind in acquiring all these runes. So it's like,
absolutely.
Let's make the game better for everybody to play, not just the people that have put the money and the time. Like, let's make it good for everybody. I mean, yeah, you should have bonuses from spending money and time, but it shouldn't be exclusive to the people that have just spent money and don't have the time or whatever. Like, it needs to be, everybody needs to be able to play the damn game. So
I completely agree. Yeah, I think we covered a lot on that, but
yeah,
Serenity is a great hero. Literally, when it under the teams tab, you can literally just leave it blank. Just use Serenity.
Yeah.
That's how good she is. Just use Serenity.
I'll just put yes. Teams, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, probably same with Sybil. Teams,
yeah, exactly.
Teams, yes. So, apparently I got logged out of line. Awesome. All right. So anyhow, so we don't have a ton of time left if we're going to keep this video reasonably long. We're already at almost an hour. So let's quickly kind of talk through Jinli and Arya. I think most people already know at this point. I mean, Arya's been around for ages. She was even reworked. It's been a year since her rework. I mean, people pretty much know Arya. They know how she's used. They kind of know how Jinli is used. But I'll kind of briefly talk about each one, and then I'll let you add your thoughts to them too. I mean, Jinli is going to be providing... Jinli puts together great damage. His first special is shield piercing. He does follow-ups anytime honor-bound heroes... well, anytime anybody places shock on somebody, so he's got great synergies with Honorbound. He provides damage resistance to your entire team, double to Honorbound heroes. He's Honorbound, so you can throw all the runes that you give him last an extra turn. That's 2 rounds of evasion, or 2 rounds of tank rune, or the first action of Sybil on the other team until your runes are gone, or your buffs are gone. But I mean, he provides great damage, great utility. He silences passively, silences actively with his S2. His S3 will do massive damage across the entire team.
Highest base attack. That's the highest base attack ability in the game.
Yeah. I mean, against boss invasions, I would literally hit the boss for like 45 million or almost 50 million after like chains and chains of building up buffs and everything else. I mean, I've probably hit some of the hardest in the game that's ever been hit with Jin, with Craw at points. I mean, Craw doesn't nearly have the same scaling, but so yeah, Jin brings a lot of damage and utility, and then Arya dodges all the time. Borderline, not OP, but borderline OP amount of dodging. Will dodge against anybody that has, except for dwarves or people that have perfect striking, but will dodge against anybody that's off-balanced or paralyzed, which, once again, the whole paralyzed thing. Or
Yeah.
dazed, I think. Maybe it's off balance or dazed. And then she provides one of her attacks, puts it out there. Everybody starts with it. I mean, so all of those things are out there. She hits extremely hard, and she follows up with 2 attacks on anybody that attacks her and misses.
Right.
So I mean, that's just, well, I mean, that's what I originally had turned creepy onto, the putting the enabler runes on Arya.
Right.
And I mean, she would just, every single time you'd attack, you'd miss. I mean, I can't. There's probably not even a number of, if there was the stats for heroes killing heroes, like the number of times that Arya has killed Lily in round 1, like Lily spews out the vines, comes out of oak form, spews out the vines, and Arya just, you're dead.
Yep, immediately.
Especially after shield piercing came out. Yeah, I mean, she just hits so hard. I think she hits more consistently hard than Jin does.
Right.
I mean, especially single target. But even with like Sand in the Eye, she hits everybody ridiculously hard. She also, and I don't know if you've noticed this, she has something like near perfect striking. And
she never missed.
No, I've seen her miss. She can miss, but it's very rare. Because I have seen Arya miss Arya sometimes, but not on an epic attack or like a special. She always hits on Sand in the Eyes. She always hits on the second S2. The S3, obviously, she doesn't, but I have seen her miss with a basic attack. But it's rare. So, I mean, you really need to have either Arya or dwarves or somebody like that when you're going up against Arya. I literally, that same battle that I had Furnace with 415 stacks of null magic, it was because Furnace was the last hero I had remaining against Arya. I literally, because of that Sand in the Eyes and that buff never going away, I was never able to land a hit. I only was able to win that fight after like 500 rounds because of the overpressure, where Furnace explodes, deals unblockable damage, and then it sets her on fire. And even that took me ages because she was healing the whole time. So, yeah, that was literally like a 30-minute battle. But, yeah, I mean, Arya is, she hits almost every time, practically every time. And she hits hard. If she doesn't get an epic proc, not as hard, but you set her up right, I always put enablers on my Arya. Just gross. So what do you want to add to them?
The only thing that I want to add is I just, well, it's probably been 2 weeks ago now, I put out a new Arya build. Enabled Arya is still extremely strong, but once again, with Serenities and the Grandars and the Dwarves, retaliation, if they never miss, she's not going to retaliate. And if there's Serenity, she's not going to. And if there's Grandar, she's not going to retaliate. So I went into the school of thought of, I put 2 of those yellow attack tainted from the event shop on her and 3 foresights. So
because you want to be able to use Sand in the Eyes all the time.
So not only do I use Sand in the Eyes, my Sand in the Eyes does 26k damage with 30% tainted, chaos damage. And like you said, it doesn't miss. So I go into fights, people are off balance, and when my Arya throws Sand in the Eyes, it hurts.
Yeah.
Bad.
Now that is kind of a hit or miss proposition though, because Sand in the Eyes tends to work best against non-armored heroes, I've noticed. Or if you have extremely high damage resistance or damage reduction, it tends to really just, like, I've seen Sand in the Eyes wipe entire teams, and I've seen teams brush off Sand in the Eyes like, what's this little breeze? Like, so it can kind of go either way. My thought on that, and it's not it's just a difference in approach with the enablers versus your stuff. Like, they're both very valid. My thought is, I don't have to worry about the foresights because I'm just going to be basic attacking with her most times anyways. Like, if I have to basic attack with Arya, I'm not sad because I'm going to kill one person, then I'm going to kill another person if I've got Serenity on the team. Like, and on top of that, I'm probably going to do a basic attack if I have Serenity on the team anyways. I'm going to do a basic attack first and then do Sand in the Eyes because I'm not going to get the extra attack from Sand in the Eyes alone. So having that those enablers there means that I'm always proccing that epic. And I don't mind doing single target attacks with Arya. I don't even care if she's not getting retaliation because she's dodging most things. So she's staying alive. So both very valid. I mean, right now I think my Arya is set up the way you suggested. But it definitely also works the other way just as well. Having the 3 enablers and 2 tainted runes, I think, is ideal.
Like you said, both of them are extremely good. Both of them have their merits. If you haven't tried, and this is for everyone because Gravy's in UW, so he's tried this. If you have not tried a double tainted Arya yet with foresights,
what's good?
It's something to see.
It is definitely good.
It is like they're all alive, and then sometimes you'll find a really tanky like dwarf team, and like you said, that's armor melee damage reduction that armored targets have. But
well, and if Jin's out there and stuff too, but yeah.
Right. But if they don't have that crap, and sometimes if they just build them just too offensively, for example, man, it is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
What she can do to an entire team with sanity.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. So I think really there's only 2 ways to ruin Arya. There's the way Creepy's describing, and there's the way that I'm describing. I don't think there's there's any more valuable versions than that. So
I completely agree.
And now as we're Jin, you can do him all offensive. You can do him all defensive. You can do him mixed. You can put a tank rune on him. You can put tainted runes on him. You can put evasion on him. You can put... Jin is like the Swiss Army knife character. He's just the all-around, solid, not overpowered, but very strong hero. Arya is just frustrating. Sometimes Arya is like no big deal, and sometimes it's like, fuck, Arya. God.
I can't even tell you... I can't even give you a realistic enough number how many times that like I'm on a streak and I'm doing good and I think to myself, I'll just get through this team real quick. And maybe it's a 5,600 rune power team. But I forgot Arya was on it.
Right.
And you just get absolutely trash canned, and there's just nothing you can do.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely... Well, I mean, the only thing that I would do to balance Arya, and I think this is fair, is that Arya went with her whole you can't hit her if you're off balance or whatever. I think that an epic attack should have a chance equivalent to the default chance to hit. So if she's got whatever other evasion stuff or whatever, there should still be at least that relatively small but possible chance to hit. Otherwise, you get scenarios where she can't kill the enemy, but the enemy can't kill her. I've had to retreat from a lot of battles with Arya because I couldn't finish it, but she couldn't finish me. And it's kind of ridiculous. You can have an entire team of 4 heroes that just can't hit Arya. And the timing of that buff is so quick, like you can't get the cycle out of there, especially if you have Serenity, because you're getting all those extra attacks and stuff too. So I think epic attacks should have a chance. Even just make it a flat out 5% chance. I don't care. Something that means that I'm going to only have to probably spend no more than 20 attacks when 1 attack in 20 is going to get through.
Right. Just something.
Yeah.
Give me hope.
Yeah, a little bit of hope, or 10% might be more reasonable, because then it's like 1 in 10 turns. It doesn't depower Arya, it doesn't nerf Arya into the ground, it doesn't break Arya. Most times she's going to be fine. But yeah, just having that little bit of a chance, especially just to end fights, like, that's about the only thing that I would do there.
Right.
So against Arya, counters for Arya is going to be anybody with perfect striking. Or Serenity, Sybil, that are going to remove the buffs and things like that.
Archon with foresight. With foresight, folks, and that's super important, because if Archon's off balance, he's going to get hurt real bad.
Yeah.
With foresight, he's got a chance to hit, but more often than not, an Archon that is not off balance stands a pretty decent chance. And another person.
Well, I mean, technically, that S3 attack from Archon is not supposed to be able to be dodged.
Right. Right. But even our S.
Oh, you're breaking up. Hold up, Creepy. You are breaking up. Try to get your signal good.
All right. How about now?
That's better.
Okay. So even you can hit Arya with it if he's not off balance.
Right. So what Creepy just said, for those of you that can't understand robot, is Creepy said that you can hit Arya if she's not off balance. I don't know if you're able to piece that together or not, but that's the point that he was making on the other side of robot speak.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I said. No, but then another thing is Agnon. Now that we fixed his stone form, he's actually usable. Unless Serenity screws it up first.
Right.
Now he's going to come out he's not going to be off balance, and whenever he's got an extremely good chance him plummeting Dooming and Arya to the ground.
Yeah, grabbing Plummeting Doom or any of his attacks, like his epic attack, if he doesn't have off balance, which typically he won't, as long as he goes into stone form, he won't. Like, he will hit Arya 2 or 3 times in a row. Or even like Hardened Assault, the S3 will hit Arya over and over and over. Like, he doesn't have perfect striking. He can obviously miss, but he will do. He's not great against evasion, but he will pick up Arya as long as he doesn't have evasion, or she doesn't have evasion. But we're getting kind of long here. We're at about 1 hour and 15 minutes almost. So let's wrap this one up. Post your questions and thoughts in the comments below. See what you think about the stuff that we've talked about. If you want to learn more, find Creepy or I on Discord or Line. Join the GravyTraining Discord. The description or the link will be in the comments or in the description below. The meta tracker spreadsheet, what we're looking at right now, is in the links will be in the description. So this meta teams and counters is just another tab at the bottom of the main meta sheet. So you can reference this to see what we're talking about for these things. And there are, like Creepy was saying, there's breakdowns based on whether or not they have an epic, the amount of damage they do, their toughness, their utility, their synergies, the overall score. And then the overall score is kind of how we break things down. Everything from Zerk and Yorick and Willow to Alrakis and Dagon and Serenity. So check that stuff out. The link's in the description. Check out Creepy's channel. I have him as one of the promoted channels from my homepage, so definitely check out that. Check out our streams. Creepy comes on streams fairly regularly, and we do lots of PvP stuff. So that's it. Thanks, Creepy, for joining me here. We're going to end up doing more of these going forward. We're going to hit the S heroes and work our way down. I have a feeling once we get past the S's, they'll go a lot faster. Because there's not as much awesome to say. So
much to unpack on an SS. So much to unpack.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for watching. Give your comments, thoughts, feedback, questions, things like that. Hit us on the Discord, hit us everywhere else, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the
Thanks for
thumbs up.
watching, everyone. Have a good night.
Yep, and then go subscribe to Creepy too. You guys have a great day.
Bye bye, guys.